So I have a couple scripts that I can share with you guys that I actually put on my course online. And it's templates that you could set up in a way that keeps you in front of your prospects. So just out of curiosity, what's your method right now to following up with your prospect while they're out shopping in order for you to keep in front of them?
Calling them every Friday or after the weekend.
How does that work out?
Sometimes I make contact. Most of the time I'll get email, voicemails.
Okay. And what does it sound like when you call them on a Friday?
They sound busy. But
No, I mean like you're opening, yeah.
Oh,
like what do you
okay.
tell
I'm
them?
like, hey, trying to follow up with you to see how the shopping's going, if you have anything lined up for the weekend.
Okay.
Planning on seeing any open homes or open homes.
Okay. And are any of you guys branding yourself online? Like you are. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. And so does it look like every other LO's brand page where it's like NMLS, numbers,
No,
fine
I
print?
kind of try to do my own little thing. I
There you
call
go.
myself California Funded, kind of do my own little, I kind of come, for a little bit I learned a lot of stuff like how you were saying from just branding yourself, doing self-gen kind of stuff. And
Okay.
I've only been here for about a month, but that's what, just kind of doing the thing where I'm still being able to use the realtors that I have along with, my presence on social media and stuff
Okay.
like that, and my sphere of influence along with.
Oh, so you have watched some of the content.
Yeah,
before.
that's what I'm
Okay.
saying is you probably pop up all the time on my on stuff like that.
Well, that's awesome. I feel like a movie star. You hear this,
Yeah.
guys? No, I'm just you heard him, right? I'm just fucking with you. No. So I guess what I'm getting at is the reason why is because if you're really gonna try to stick this out as a career and you're gonna try to make the absolute most of it, you absolutely have to bring value in a different way, meaning that most of the loan officers just kind of paint up their page, and you guys may have seen other loan officers paint up their page with flyers, programs, announcements, right? Call me if you want to know about this non-QM program. And the reason, and this is all going to circle back to your initial question of how do I keep in contact with them, is because if you think about like your a current Facebook page, we'll use a Facebook for example. A lot of the times where loan officers can opt to put a flyer about a particular program, or you can simply post content that's actually helpful to the end consumer. And even though you posted it a month ago, on your follow-ups, you can actually share that with them. Does that make sense? But you can also add them to your own particular community. And why I think that's helpful is because that's a more effective way of staying in front of them. You're constantly in front of them. And why that's even more helpful is because if they find that information helpful, they can then tag people into that particular post. So if you're looking at like, but social media isn't me. Social media was not me either. Like I didn't fuck with social media for a minute. Who did it was my wife. She was the social media queen. And then I saw how you can actually make a business from social media, and then it clicked. And so if you understand that you're going to always be doing what you're doing, and you're ideally going to be building a pipeline or some community where you could branch off and that shit could follow you, whether you're here 5 years from now or you're in another company from 5 years from now, that's going to be your property. Make sense? So why it would play into your question of how do I stay in contact with them, or what's a creative way to stay in contact with them, is that every Friday the conversation doesn't necessarily need to be a phone call because you're not really connecting with them, but it has to be also a voice message along with a strategic email. And so a voice message could be like something like a go-go dial even, right? So you could do a blast to all your pre-approvals, and every Friday evening, like about 5 o'clock, you can blast it out to your pals. And so it sounds something like this, like, hey, I'm sorry I missed you today. I meant to connect with you because I wanted to wish you happy hunting. I'm sure you got a couple properties that are listed, a couple properties you're going to be viewing out this weekend. Hey, by the way, I sent you over a link. I thought about you. Check it out. Reply back. Let me know you got it. And so now they go back to their email, and it's actually a link to your page. Maybe it's not even if you don't have a Facebook page, you could do it to maybe a link to an article that you saw. I would say Facebook page, because if you link them to an article, you're going to put them in front of ads from our competitors, right? But let's say that post from your Facebook community page happens to be something like 3 things to do to improve your FICO score by 50 points. Or before you buy your home, make sure you do these 3 things. And all you're doing is curating the information, but you're putting your own spin to it. Does that make sense? Now, as you grow in this industry, you're going to be able to capture testimonials and also video testimonials. And you just got to be creative with how you do it. So when you have a client closing an escrow, have you guys had a client close already? Everyone's fair to say we've all had one, right? Have you guys ever talked to them when they're at closing?
Yeah, after closing, not at closing.
If you talk to them at closing, they're at their emotional peak because they're excited, right? So if you knew you had a client signing at 1 o'clock, I would call them at 12:45 because that's it, dude. Like if you've ever bought a house before, all that 3, 6, 12 months of shopping comes down to that day, right? They're so emotionally just on this rush because they know that once they sign the paperwork, they get their keys and they get to move into the house. And why that's important is because if you can catch them on a Skype, you can record your monitor, right? You can record your phone. And if you caught them, even if you had your own, like through your cell phone or through a computer phone or a computer camera, you can call them and say, man, I'm so excited for you, Jim. You're about to sign, you know what I mean? You're about to sign in 15 minutes and then you get the keys. Are you excited? Yes. Hey, if you don't mind telling me, like, you know, obviously, the greatest compliment I can get is a referral. If I could please ask you just a few questions, right, on this call. And may not necessarily know that you're recording it, but you could do it subliminally and then you can edit your questions out. But if you manufactured 3 or 4 questions that said, hey, tell me, how was it working with me? Right? And I say, oh, Daniel, you made everything easy. You're always answering the phone, right? Like I was so nervous when we first started and this is just awesome. Thank you so much. And then ask them another question like, what was the scariest thing that you're going through? Right? I didn't know if we're going to find a house, blah, 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 but you're getting the dialogue. And why that's important is because if you can record them on a video, you can then post it on that Facebook feed. And if you edit it correctly, and there's free editing apps available for smartphones now, where it's just your client talking and saying, yeah, it was great to work with Daniel. He always answered his phone. He made the process super easy. His team was super efficient. Does that make sense? Yeah. And so now what happens is you can create a post and then send it to him and have him share it on his feed. And when everybody hits the like button because he just closed escrow and he just bought a new home, everyone's saying congratulations, that it has your information on that feed. Does that make sense? So now you're penetrating his network. So if they had 500 friends, just him, and then the wife had another 400 friends, that's a pretty big deal, right? Another thing also is that when your clients close escrow, it would be very advantageous to invest into this because we are in sales, so we have the ability to write off certain expenses. And every closing you can actually purchase pretty cheap, like within $100, flowers along with big balloons, right? So you can get like Conroy's flowers or 1-800 flowers and see if you can expense it. I'm not the one to give you the okay to do that, but see if you can. Even if you can't, it's a business expense and it's an investment. You got to look at the bigger picture, right? But if you bought your clients and you delivered it to their work and you knew that they worked in an office and you bought her just some like real small bouquet, but 3 huge balloons that said congratulations. When that thing is sitting on their desk, people are naturally drawn to it. Like, oh, look who's got it in Meyer. But now they're talking about you. Does that make sense? So they're actually ranting and raving. Oh yeah, this is my loan officer. He's the one who helped me finance my purchase. Oh, that's so nice of him, right? And it's just another way to get more attention, right? So think about that because if right now all you're relying on is the dialer to give you information, number one is you get higher rips from self-generated deals, right? Also, if you can get referrals, they're easier to close, but you're also opening opportunity for refinancing as well. And if you're trying to create relationships with realtors on the outside to give you a steady referral business, whether you're doing business in Kansas City or you're doing business in California or you're doing business in Arizona, even if you got a referral like, hey, I know someone who needs to sell, you can contact a realtor out there, right? And try and create some referral business that way. That makes sense? But every week, the motive of the phone conversation, it should be along the lines of like, hey, I just want to wish you happy hunting. I know you got a couple properties, right? So if any of the properties you find you're interested in it, shoot me over the property address and I'll send you a quick property profile in it to give you the school rating on that school district. That will be very helpful for people who are shopping with their families. especially who have kids. And that is actually what will keep them glued to you, is because you're talking about things outside of just the normal PAL criteria. So you're talking about things that are important to them.
Personal.
Right, being very personable. So if you find out that they did have 3 kids, you want to mention these things, right? Oh, okay, cool. So I'm sure that the school district's pretty important to you, right? The safety of the neighborhood's pretty important to you. And you find out some other people will be living. Is it important that you guys are close to a hospital since your mom is living with you, right? And so these are things that you're mentioning throughout the conversation, but you just have to keep your BV notes on point. But that's what I found is to be most effective when trying to capture someone, because in a call center, you guys are blessed to have a ton of leads. You're not outside in the field trying to find your own leads, right? So as you have a ton of leads, we can kind of get stuck in this mundane process of just of touch and go, where it becomes very easy to get lost in the process, and we forget to become personable. It's the personalization that makes them loyal to you. It's the personalization that actually makes them come back to you. That makes sense? So I deal with a couple purchases as well. Even though I'm a manager, I do at least a good 8 to 12 units a month, just even as a manager. And a lot of it has to do with just kind of the automated systems that I put into place. It's because I figured out the rhythm here of this engine, and I'm fortunate enough to continuously work with past clients. So the deals that you guys close, don't forget to do your rewrites. You guys have a lot of redo business if you've been here for at least 6 months. You have to have a process down for that. Even though a lot of your focus is on purchase, don't let that slip by, because those FHAs can turn to streamlines or refis into conventionals at a later time. I'm sure you guys probably aren't doing too much DPAs, right?
No, not really.
Yeah. So it's not hot right now. So a lot of the business that you guys have funded, don't lose sight of that, because your redo should represent at some point 30 to 40% of your pipeline. So if you're closing 6 deals right now, you can potentially turn that into 10 as long as you grow the momentum. Cool. How you doing?
Good.
Good. You got any questions for me?
The challenges that I'm having are more with the people that are the quote-unquote A borrower, the borrower that just, because the ones that have the challenge are the ones that I'm at least personally, I'm in touch with and communicating everything that they need to do to get ready to buy the house. Where somebody that's, the 780 credit score, that's got the 10, 15, 20% down, those are the ones that I have the hardest time closing.
You know why?
Well, no.
They don't want to let you talk, right?
Huh?
They don't want to let you talk. They want it fast. What's your rate?
Yeah.
You can't sell me I qualify for anything. That's the ambient. That's the energy you get from them, right?
Yeah, generally, yeah.
Okay. So spin it and play it back to them. Say, so it depends on when exactly you find out that they have great credit. So a lot of times when you guys get calls, is it directly from a CSR?
Yeah.
Okay, and the CSR is out of 10, how many of them are outbounds?
9 out of 10.
Okay, and so the primary issue is, number one, we got to be empathetic that this person wasn't probably expecting a call, let alone to be transferred to an LO, right? Sometimes we forget that because we're not in that first connection, and so we are not going into it properly prepared. Meaning, when we go into the conversation with the prospective buyer, it should sound very much as if it's already happening. It's already on its way. Because if we talk to somebody who was given to us on an outbound call and we start asking questions like, how can I help you today? The fuck? You called me. Does that make sense? Or if we sound too salesy, then he's going to reaffirm his belief of like, I'm just talking to a salesman. So instead, I'm sorry, what was your name? Pete. So if a CSR said, hey, Daniel, I got Pete on the phone. He was an outbound call. I would sound something like this. Hey, Pete, this is Daniel with New American Funding. Hey, just giving you a quick update. I'm sending out to your iCloud account right now the report that you had requested. Whether you decide to use it or not is completely your choice. Us at New American Funding, we just want to ensure that you have complete access to a source of financing that doesn't have any broker points or high retail costs. It's actually going to go to your iCloud account, and I believe this is for your first time. This is your first time buying a home. You guys know this information, right? First time home buyer or whatnot, or selling a house. But this is going to go to the purchase of your new primary residence. Hey, while I got you on the phone, before I send it out, let me just confirm it's actually worth your time. Make sense? It's already in motion. So if I find out, it's like, hey, Pete, this is for your primary residence, right?
Yep.
Okay, got it. So I'm going to go ahead and send it to pete@icloud.com. I'm going to send it to you. Please reply back to confirm that you did receive it. Now, I want to make sure that it's fully buttoned up so that you could begin your shopping right away, right? When was the last time you actually pulled your credit or looked at your credit score?
Months ago.
Months ago? Okay, was it to get pre-approved for a purchase of a property?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna make a quick note here that you've already been pre-approved. When you got pre-approved with that other company, did you submit your loan documents?
No.
Okay, so then you got pre-qualified. Here at NAF, what we do is we do a pre-approval. The difference between a pre-approval and a pre-qual is a pre-qual is just more or less like a receipt, whereas a pre-approval is more like a cashier's check. So it's going to give you a little bit more weight when you're competing against a home that you put an offer in for. People are going to take you seriously that you want to take you seriously, like the seller, the realtor, your realtor. But more importantly, you're going to have more peace of mind, Pete, because you know that you can actually afford the property before you become emotionally invested into it. Here, watch, I'll show you. Make sense? So this is someone who's on an outbound call. And the whole reason why I'm fluctuating with my tonality is because I need you to believe that it's just about to come. Because if I go about it in any other tonality, any other tone, they're going to feel like, well, how long is this shit going to take? Right? You're catching me on an off moment. Does that make sense? So I think that if you use that method where you don't ask them any sensitive questions right up front, you ask them questions that allow you to funnel in for more information, kind of like what I did, right? When was the last time you actually looked at your credit report, Pete? Oh, a couple months ago. Got it. What was the reason? Was it to get pre-approved for a house? Yeah. See, it funneled, right? Okay, when you submitted your income documentation to that lender, did they get you pre-approved or pre-qualified? Oh, I didn't submit any income documentation. Okay, got it. So you got pre-qualified. Here, we only do pre-approvals because we're a direct conduit to the source. I can only put in front of you information that actually applies to you. Here's the upside, Pete, is that it's worth your time and it's going to protect you before you put any earnest money deposits down. Make sense? So I'm branding myself, delivering the value while at the same time extracting the information that I need so I have more leverage over you. So if you came back to me and said, oh, I got a 730 FICO, I can qualify for anything, my response would be like, well, great, Pete. I'm actually going to show you that what exactly you qualify for in terms of payment, though. You see, you might be able to afford a payment of $5,000, but if you're only comfortable with $3,000, why would you get a certificate showing at your max? Not only that, but why would you go and make an offer to a home that isn't up to your max? You're just showing the realtor and the seller that you can qualify for more. Who's to say that they're not just going to raise the price on you? Here, watch, I'll show you how to protect yourself. Make sense?
Beautiful.
Yeah. So it's all in the tonality and the delivery, but you need to understand if they're inbound and outbound. It sounds like you guys are doing more outbound calls anyway. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it's just, usually from what I'm having, my experience with those kind of borrowers is that, even if I get them palled, they're already shopping. I mean,
Good.
they're all over. They're talking to everybody on the block to try to get a loan.
Good.
So then it's just a matter of how to
Differentiate yourself.
That's exactly.
Yeah. So do you know how to differentiate yourself?
We just we'll match or beat any offer.
No, take away from the price. Got to completely remove it from the price. I know some of your guys are scripting right now. You guys got to understand that script was not written by a salesman who are doing what you guys do. Get it? So the more that you come in and say, we're the low-cost leading lender in California, I think that's part of your guys' script. We're the lowest cost leader or something like that.
You're saying from lending tree, that's what you can actually say that you're like one of the lowest.
Yeah, but why? You know what I mean? Because then all they're going to focus on, okay, cool, well, what's your cost? Right? So instead, what I mean by adapt or differentiate yourself is you actually talk about how we're actually all alike. So in other words, you say, hey, Pete, the whole reason why homeowners choose to use us, homeowners out of Orange County prefer working with New American Funding when they're buying their home, is because at the end of the day, we all go to the same sources, and that's Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, VA, or FHA, right? You're only going to use me for my relationship with these investors. Now, when I put the information together for you, it has to be pretty much accurate because it's going to be pre-underwritten, but that's safe for you. So in other words, I'm not putting together a pre-qualification based on best case scenario, or as if you're paying points that you don't know about until you actually lock in your loan. You see, I can only be as transparent as you let me, and I plan to give you a pre-approval that's going to show you down to a penny what you can afford. But I'm going to help you custom tailor it to your family's comfortable budget. Where a lot of these other companies, they just want to issue you a pre-approval because they want you in the street with their logo. I operate a little bit different, and I'm going to show you how. So it had nothing to do with price, right? But I alluded to the fact that we all go to the same place at the end of the day, and the only reason why they're going to use me is because of the relationship I have with these entities. We all go to the same well. We all go to the same cow, right? But the only reason why homeowners and I'm kind of creating the rapport with them, making them feel like their community is doing the same thing, because they want to feel like they, naturally they want to do what everyone else in their neighborhood is doing. Make sense? So I've taken it away from price and not let that be the reason why I'm attracting him. I'm actually attracting him because everyone in Irvine works with us. Make sense? Or everyone in Tustin chooses us because of this. Oh, okay, cool. So they kind of relate. It's very similar to like on your refinance deals. Like I always say the first street. I always say a street name. Like right away, I start naming things that they're familiar with. Okay, cool. Your property on Myford. This is your primary residence, right? Got it. Okay, most homeowners in Tustin, they actually choose to work with us because, and these are things that they understand. So that's how you create bond, is you say information that applies to them. It's not price, it's not rate or anything like that. Because the sooner that you anchor that conversation to price, that's all it's going to be. So next time they see an advertisement that's lower than what you talked about, they forgot you already. Yeah, makes sense. So, but then again, it's hard to not talk about price because they always ask, right? So then the response, because we always get those like, hey, what's your rate, right? Like I've been pre-approved like by 9 companies. What's your rate? Hey man, what's your rate? And so the perfect response to that is like, yeah, I'm actually putting that together for you. Watch here, I'll show you, and then go back into the questions. But you want to extract enough leverage before you answer it and say, okay, now I know you're worried about the rate. I got a question for you. Have you already found your home? No. Okay, when do you plan to lock the loan then? Right? Just this month, the interest rates have already changed 8 times. So the information I give you now will actually expire by tomorrow. Do you plan to open up escrow tomorrow, Pete? No. Got it. So when you do plan to open up escrow is the time that I'm actually going to go over pricing with you. Here's the good news, Pete, is that whatever Fannie Mae is giving is what we're giving because we're direct source to it. We're a direct conduit. You're not paying broker points or you're not paying a middleman to get to me. You're already with me, right? So a lot of these brokers and lenders that are going to call you as you're shopping, they ultimately bring you to me. But the reason why I'm in connection with you or talking to you is because as a consumer, you have the right to know how to get access to the same sourcing without broker points and high retail costs. Very effective, right? To drive the same exact message. And so you're kind of planting seeds that all these other lenders that they talk to, they're ultimately going to bring you to me. Well, now you have direct connection to me. You have a direct source to me. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Is this stuff making sense, guys?
Yeah.
Is it good?
Yeah, it's cool.
Good. All right. Yeah. So you used to be an outside loan agent?
Yeah, I mean, one of my things would be like more in lines of like we're in a call center, right? So those activities that you're doing with realtors, going to visit their office, hanging out with them, just that friendship, like we don't have that, right? So
Right.
And we're doing this like all across the country. So I guess that would be the biggest thing is how do we build these relationships? I know you mentioned social media, but just kind of having those type of relationships with, where it's kind of almost as you let's go work out, let's go hang out, but like that buddy relationship with realtors, because like you said, the main thing is to have those sources of like, because that's how we get paid, those we get paid
higher rips, right?
Higher rips on those kind of sources.
Sure.
So
the best way to do it is through, in my opinion, through social media. I built a large database of loan officers through social media. I didn't pay for it, and it's all because of word of mouth, right? So I'm dealing with loan officers all across the country, some even outside of the country, like in overseas. But where you're taking the same philosophy is that you can actually create relationships with realtors. Like the realtors that represent your buyers right now, you should be keeping in contact with them. At the time of closing, you also want to capture them on video and talking about how great it was to work with you, because that becomes your social proof to keep on your page and then market to other realtors. Make sense? Say, hey, don't take it from me, listen to what your competitors are saying, right? And so when they hear another realtor say, yeah, Daniel, he always answered the phone, his team was always on it, then you back it up and say, hey, I know you're dealing with a lot of retail loan officers. Here's the advantage that I could deliver you, is that my pricing beats the retail loan officers. So if you can't get them approved, or you want to ensure that it closes fast, I can get that done for you, right? Not only that, but if you give me a heads up on who's actually shopping with maybe these high cost realtors or high cost lenders and loan officers, I not only can I beat their price, but I can ensure that they're definitely qualified to work with you, right? So if he ever gets to a point where, you know, he has a particular client, why wouldn't he want to get them into the lowest price? Because that gives him higher commission, because they can then afford more home. Make sense? So it all trickles down to their money, and how you attract them is you put them in front of more opportunity. And so where the brand page comes in, you know, it's funny because I never looked at social media that way until I figured out that you can actually create a business from it. And so I'm putting a page together now that's going to be, it's not going to be anything that looks like a loan officer's page. And all it's going to be is just information that is inside information that we know about because we practice this art every day, right? Like how to find an insurance agent, how to understand mortgage, what PITI means, right? How to estimate what your mortgage payment would be based on the purchase price and county, right? So this is helpful information that people would want to know, and then they end up sharing it with the people who should know it. But the reason why you want to create that is because that community ends up gathering likes, and then you have direct access to them in their DM. And then DM is one of the most highly effective. The response rate is stronger than text messages because you're in their direct message. It all goes down in the DM, right?
I think with like insurance agents, like, so I have like, you know, page, so insurance agents are always like kind of that same thing, like on a Monday, hey, were you doing this is like,
yeah.
And it does kind of give you something like, oh, maybe I should just at least respond to one once, you know, like, hey man, no, you know, like, I'm cool, nothing, you know, because they're like someone who's consistent on it. At a certain point, you're like, you kind of have that sympathy, and like, okay, let me at least, you know, get back to my, oh, thanks for always reaching out or something, you know, kind of gives you that little sympathy, because like you said, like they're doing it, they're like constantly doing it and doing it.
And those are the people you want to connect with, because those are the people who are opening the new insurance policies for escrows that are opening.
Exactly.
Right? So they're first to know.
Like they're even saying, hey, notice you were at an open house. I noticed you were da-da-da. Like,
right.
You know, you probably got a bunch of leads. You need to get some quotes on those leads and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh man, they're like on it. And you kind of like, it just kind of leads you towards, like, you know, this guy's hustling like you, you know? So I would assume that would work for clients as well that have that same drive or same thing. You know?
Right now, you guys have pals that are out there shopping, right? So right now, they're connected with the realtor right now. And so that's a perfect in to actually start practicing with the realtor. You know, you guys can do research on the realtor and find out how long they've been licensed, how long they've been in the industry. So use them as practice. Like, find someone who's only been doing it for a minute, right? And so say, hey man, I need to talk to you about that Jones file. You got a minute? Call them, talk to them, and then ask them off the cuff and say, hey, just curious, man, how are you generating all your leads? Right? Oh, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm doing this. And you're actually writing it down, because you plan to use that intel when speaking to the next realtor. So if the next realtor says he's not using that method, then you could say, hey, have you tried this? Then they look at you like you just discovered water, right? Like, oh man, I didn't even think about that. Yep. Hey, this stuff works. But besides that, you know, what's your current goal right now? Like, how much are you closing on average? So if they say, I'm closing one every other month, then he's probably obviously not someone that you probably want to pursue, put a lot of time into, right? But if he says, I'm closing about 4 or 5 each month, then that's someone you want to take care of, because they have 4 or 5 people constantly closing in escrow. And say, okay, good. So where do you want to be by the end of this year? What's your average? What's your goal? They say, I want to go from 5 to 10. Okay, got it. And with your current preferred lender or your other lenders, what is one thing you don't like about the finance part of it? And then they're going to tell you everything they don't like about their preferred lender. They're going to tell you everything they don't like about dealing with loan officers. So ultimately, you're getting a lot of intel of how not to be with that person. Because if you make a good enough impression, then you can ask for the business, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they don't even know that you plan on selling them because you meant to talk to them about the Joneses file. So if you have enough of that information on that realtor, then you could revisit it a little bit later after he forgot he told you all that information and said, hey man, I know you're journeying business this way. Hey man, I get a massive amount of leads. I work in a call center, bro. I could send you directly some information anytime they're in your zip code. Hey, do me one solid and actually send me some too. I'll give them the best pricing they can get. Make sense? But people don't look that far. People just kind of like want to, oh, I'll just get it from the dialer. And then you go through that rigorous process of like, man, the gym with 730 FICO don't want to talk to me, right? It's because there's really actually no meat. They don't know you. There's no personalization. They don't see you on their feed, right? So after a while, if they see you off your feed, then they feel like they're connected with you. There are people that I talk to that sign up for my course and they're talking to me like they know me, but it's because they watch the content, right? So, oh man, you did this one video and it's crazy, but you could have the same exact effect as the loan guy, as the, you know what I mean? Like the loan person, and be like, man, you did this one article about 3 things to do before you sell your house. That was money, right? Or 2 things to ask your insurance agent to make sure you got the lowest policy. Oh, thank you so much, right? And just all it is value. Not once are you selling anything. You know, saying, hey, call me for that 2.5% down program, things like that. So I think that's how you attract it.
Nice.
But you could definitely still create relationships with realtors. It's just a matter of choice. And you'll be amazed how many loan officers are fucking lazy and don't want to do any extra. You know what I mean? But that's all.
So what was the source that you said that you can get information on the realtor? I mean, aside from going
The DRE. Yeah.
to the state DRE, you're talking about whatever state.
Yeah. It tells you when they got licensed, who
Some states are more difficult to find that information than others, I've found.
Oh yeah. Then check their media presence. So just search their name, right?
Like Zillow, I mean, in California, I mean, it's pretty accurate when you go on there, like on Zillow and all of like telling us how many transactions they do, right?
Hell yeah.
Like, there's something on GoGo too, isn't there? Something that you can check on.
If I was a focused purchase agent, I'd be whoring out the fact that I got better pricing than all the retail agents out there.
Yeah.
That'd be my number one, right? Like I'd be hitting up all the realtors in my area, like by the areas that I'm most commonly around, the supermarkets I'm commonly around, people that I see like advertising, making moves. I would make note to them, and to the point where once I get prospects within that area, I'm calling them and saying, hey man, I know you got an open house on Myford. Hey, I'm thinking about sending a couple pre-approved buyers your way. Fuck, dude. Now you sound completely different from every other LO that wants to just meet them for coffee, right? You're actually bringing them value first, and they look at you in a different light, right? Not only that, but I also work from a call center, and I get about damn near 10 leads a day. Now, fuck, I want this guy. That makes sense?
Definitely.
It's all about positioning. Yeah. What's up, man?
What's up?
Okay, do you have any questions that I can cover?
Not particularly, although I did like, what was it that you were talking about? I don't know, I like some of the stuff that you were talking about on the social media, the posting on there, collecting people, or sliding into the DMs basically. I had read that recently, that people are getting more of an open rate on their DMs than they are from pretty much any other form of like first contact.
Absolutely.
And I kind of thought about that myself, because I don't always open messages like that I get DM'd, but it's mostly because I know I'm getting prospected to like give that person something, so that's why I don't open them, but it kind of makes sense. Like, I definitely look at them.
Yeah.
I definitely look at them. So.
Yeah, there's like I have right now, if you guys ever watch the content, I always talk about download my copy of my free script. You guys ever heard that? Like, hey, I got a script, go to salesyourmaster.com, request a copy. The reason for that is because then they become part of my database. And so now I can email them, right? I can communicate with them off the radar. And so it's not coming from a business, it's coming from my side business, right? And the reason for that is because I'm delivering value to route them back to my content. And so, but then I also have signature things like hashtag sales remastered. So I don't need to say, you know, like, hey, go to salesremaster.com. I could say like search sales remastered or hashtag sales remastered. So there are certain components with social media that are far more effective than just your general form of communication. like a phone call or a text. So it could be a DM. You know, your direct messages on Facebook, they have these what's called chat bots, and so you can rig your chat bot to interact with the visitors in a way that funnels them so that they can go through a sequence of questions, and then you give them a yes or no answer. So let's say if you went to my Facebook page right now, you can actually see how it works. So if you go to my page, there'll be a chat bot that pops up, and it'll say, "Hey, how you doing? Are you more interested in selling, mindset, or motivation?" Right? And so then they pick one, and then another triggered response comes out and say, "Here's 3 videos." Right? So all I'm doing but it's a chat bot that's automatically doing it. How do you make that into a purchase? Right? Like, hey, welcome to the page. You know, what are you most interested in? Homeownership or pre-approval or selling your house, right? And so they're gonna pick one. And so if they say, I want to buy my first home, got it. Have you already been pre-approved? And so the chatbot's communicating with you, and say, you know, and then ultimately how it can end up is say, hit yes or no if you want to schedule a call. And so if they say yes, then you get a ding on your you know, you can set up to get an email. And so I get them all the time for private coaching sessions. So I give 15-minute strategy calls, and I use that to sell the product. So I'll give them value first, and then I'll talk them into buying the course. Make sense? So you're taking the same exact philosophy where you're helping them with information that we already know, and you're giving value. I'm like, oh man, thank you so much. That reciprocation enables you to position yourself, say, hey, let's do this. I'll get you pre-approved. I don't, you know, even if you've been pre-approved already, I can at least give you something to back it up. Now you're creating more relationships that way. But again, that's outside of a lot of people's comfort zone. But if you're already going to be on social media, might as well use it to make a couple bucks, right?
Yeah, I've been kind of struggling with that myself because I don't post a lot on social media. I've always been kind of private, but it seems like not all of them, but most of the successful people, especially in our industry, are developing more of a social media presence and have to be more comfortable, you know, taking videos of themselves and blasting it online.
Yeah, videos is going to be a huge thing. You know, a lot of people rather consume video than read content. I think just a lot of loan officers are doing it wrong because they sound like an infomercial and a commercial more than they do sound like they're giving value. Okay. They're buttoned up, right? They're not actually being personable. So I think the more personable that you could be, the more effective you'll be. Yeah. But yeah, I definitely say try it out. You know, that's where it's all at right now. Social media marketing. Cool.
Nice.
How you doing, man? I seen you get a couple of awards already, right?
Yeah, I got President's Club. And
Nice. Congrats, dude.
Thank you.
Yeah, so this is probably all boring to you. You're all, man, I know this shit, bro.
I was just, yeah, I mean, definitely it's a lot of good information. I'm just like, how do I implement all this stuff and find it in my day to add this to everything that I'm doing right now? I mean,
I know exactly how you feel, bro.
I
I manage about 15 pipelines, including my own, my clients. I got a family.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, how are you originating loans and then managing and then doing all the side stuff? I'm like, I find it hard in my day. I go home and I'm just like.
I think it's because I went through the 2008 market crash, and I was burned, and so I know that it could possibly happen again. And so I'm just capitalizing as much as I can while we can.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I look at it in a different perspective. Not a lot of people were in the industry at that time.
Yeah.
Right? So if I can stack 20K in the bank or 100K in the bank, I'm going to go for 100K. Right? Because I know exactly what it feels like when that bitch ran out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So everyone's kind of pushed a little bit different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That, and I got a fucking bougie lifestyle. So I kind of like the finer things in life. But that's what throws me, you know? Not everyone's like that. It could be about family too. Like, I want to take care of my family. I want to pay my fucking mom's mortgage bill. Those are certain things that you need to find out that pushes you. But it really is a choice though. You know what I mean? Yeah. It is a lot of information you can implement, but you just then got to look at the upside and say, if I implemented it, what do I get in return? Mm-hmm. What you get in return is the security and the residual income. And after you do it at such a high pace for so long, it becomes systematic. Like, my guys, they run themselves. That's how I'm able to produce on my own, is because the system's already in place. Yeah. That, and I wake up 4:30 every morning, You know what I mean? I go to bed at like 11. You know what I mean? If you can't tell by the bags under my eyes, I'm fucking wired. I'm wired just to hustle, and this is just me, you know? So people are just built that way. Not everyone wants it. But, I'll tell you what works because I've gone through the trial and error process so many times. Are you having any challenges though?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think my biggest challenge is, like, I can get a client to go through the process of, hey, I'm a new homeowner or first-time home buyer. I don't know anything about the process. I can, like, nurture the hell out of them and get them on their way. But if it's a good to go and they're like, hey, what's your rate? And I can pull them all the way through the process where, I'm pulling their credit, I'm pricing them out, but like there's a loyalty to that first loan officer that they talk to, and bringing them on board and pretty much stealing their business is where I'm falling. So I'll even get them to commit, lock, and then next day it's like, oh yeah, they were able to match my deal, and it's like getting that final commitment.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm not able to just get that complete commitment.
Yep.
Once I have them, signing documents, sending over documents.
Sure.
So that's where I'm running into issues right now.
Okay, so it's really about just making noise in a different way, right? So depending on the context of your conversation with them right up front. So of course we're always going to get hit with, well, what's your rate? What's your rate? So the easiest thing to do is to create a default response to it. Default response means it automatically comes out. So you can auto tune it, so it's automatic. And so the default response would sound something like, yeah, I'm actually going to put that together for you and send it to your iCloud. It's on its way, right? So that's just the response, but it gives me back control of the conversation. And the reason why the good to goes are harder to deal with is because they kind of already been around the block, right?
Yeah.
And then we kind of look at them as kind of like the Mr. Patels after so long, right? If you guys ever done refi business, like, fuck, here we go, right? We're instinctively triggered that way. And we don't want to do it that way because we always want to remain control in the engagement. So what I would tell you to do is do kind of just similar to like the Realtor approach, where you're actually positioning yourself in a more favorable way. And so you're saying, it sounds like you've already been pre-approved before, right? Yeah, I already been pre-approved. Got it. So with that pre-approval, just out of curiosity, what don't you like about their process? Right? Because there's got to be a reason why they're talking to you anyway. There's no loyalty.
I kind of hit that right up front. I'm like, hey, why are you out here shopping? I mean, you've obviously been working with someone up to this point.
Okay.
What has you on the phone with me, right, at that point? And so it's like, typically the answer is really generic, right? They're just like, what's your rate? And just want to see what's on the market. I saw that you guys had a low rate. I get them through that whole process, but at the end, once I'm able to, provide obviously I guess it's less about what you can provide as value. I guess I'm having a hard time finding the value aside from the rate to bring them on board.
The value is the story. So it's the tail end. It's the incentives of being part of our portfolio, right? So it's the courtesy features that our portfolio enjoys, and then you relate it to them. And say, well, again, the reason why a lot of homeowners choose out of Orange County choose New American Funding is because once you become our client, we do these courtesy checkups that allow you to take part of the customer incentives that our portfolio clients enjoy, like waive lender fees, courtesy services, reports that keep you in tune with where your property value is. These are just automated. So when the time comes where it's time for you to exit your FHA loan, we don't wait for you to call us. We actually have a system in place that automatically notifies you. It notifies me. So that way you're not paying $1 more in mortgage insurance than you need to, right? Here's the best part. As long as you keep your payments on time, we actually provide that service courtesy, meaning no lender fees. And so that tail end, that's how you build kind of that value that separates yourself from the...
After the loan.
Right. It's the big picture. And so, but in between, you brought up a point like all the way to the end, it's hard to get that commitment, otherwise they'll leave me. So from the very beginning to the end, you have that entire window to kind of create that bond and the rapport.
Yeah.
Right. And so one thing that a lot of loan officers aren't doing are paying attention to the small, minute details Like, is this going to be your final home, or is this going to be your first time home? And so you start to apply it to their daily life, right? And so if they don't have any kids, you're starting to bring these things up. So in other words, if they don't have any kids and you know that they're going into like a small 3-bedroom home, you got to build up the big picture and say, hey, when it's time to leave this house, we're going to become your lender for life. So next time you go into your next home, since you're already with us, the process is super quick and it's really automated, right? So while we get you into your first home, we're going to make sure that you're protected by always having the absolute best terms, because every other lender and every other broker out there, we all go to the same place, which is again Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, VA, or FHA. But the only difference is it's my relationship that consumers leverage is because of how big we are. And so you do have a choice to go with like Loan Depot or Quicken, but they charge retail fees, right? They charge the retail costs. It's how you see them on TV. This is how you see them sponsoring the PGAs, right? We don't do that. Instead, we'd like to keep the savings and the pricing low for you so that you can actually get the home that you want. And so it's like the small little details like that keeps them close to you. But where it becomes a challenge is that if you become so consumed in your day-to-day that we forget to do these little finishing touches that actually hits their emotional buttons throughout the process, then they don't see us as anything else but a price. We're just a pal to them, right? Where a lot of the automated systems in place are just scripts that other loan officers are reading. Like, hey, I just want to see if anything's changed. You know, do you have any houses? How's the shopping going? Right? That's small talk. That no one really likes small talk, and that's why after a while they're just going to forward you to voicemail. But if you consistently provide value and say, hey, when you do find a property, I just want to remind you, send me over the address of your most favorite one. I'll check out the school system for you, or I'll check out the local comps for you, or I'll check out the safety of the neighborhood for you, right? That's something that's just above and beyond that. It's the convenience, and people pay more for convenience. They'll pay premiums for convenience. They're just built that way, right? It's a full service. It's not just, here's your pal, please call me. Right? It's a little bit deeper than that. Yep. Is that helpful?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's hit and miss, right? It's it's a tricky one. I mean, honestly, it's a tricky one. Sometimes I get it, sometimes I don't, and I mean, I lose more than I win, but yeah, I'm fine tuning. Definitely, it's definitely everything you say throughout the whole, because it's like pretty much like a day, 2-3 days process to get them completely in. Because you might be able to get them in on the first day, but I guess I run into a lot of issues with like the realtor. They're so invested in the process. They're just like, especially if it's late in the game, they're just like, they will scare the borrower right back to the other lender, even if their fees are higher. They'll just tell them, hey.
But why though? Why would they?
They're just like, they just don't trust us as a lender. Right?
NAF?
Exactly. Yeah. Pretty much.
They don't know who you are.
Exactly, and especially if they have like appraisals done or have conditional approval or something like that. So it's like, hey, we're already at step 5 over here. We're gonna start all over with this new lender because they're saving you a couple $1,000s. They'll just match it. Let's just move on. Let's get this done, right? And then so I deal with that a little bit where, I build the bond. They're super apologetic and they're I'm sorry, wasted your time.
No, it just sounds like the missing piece is to actually make the connection with the realtor.
Yeah.
Right? Because there's so many parties you have to sell. So it's not just them, but immediately you have to make a connection with the realtor. And the problem with us calling realtors is it's a salesman talking to a salesman.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, that realtor is heavily vested to make sure that deal goes through because they're self-employed.
Yeah.
Right? Where we kind of got a little safety net to fall back on. So they want to make sure that it goes through, and that's why they're talking them into, but they're going to have more influence because they're spending more time with that realtor than you. So the faster that you can get into position yourself with that realtor and say, like let's say the realtor's name is Jim, like, hey Jim, I'm going to go ahead and help Alice and Alex, right? Go ahead and get this in place. I'm going to shoot you over a confirmation of the pre-approval just so you know everything's buttoned up. And I want you to know that I've been doing this for a long time. Our company's been doing this for a long time. And we're going to ensure that this gets closed on time to protect your money. So you're saying things that are applicable to them, but it's addressing their concerns, right? And say, hey, here's my cell phone number. Here's my direct line, right? I pick up the phone unless I'm on the phone, in which you can always text me, but I'm going to make sure you get this. That's all they want, is they just want assurance. They want the certainty. So if you find yourselves where these people are already in escrow, but they're using us to beat the price, immediately after you talk to them, you got to call their agent and say, hey, I just had a chance to speak with Alice and Alex. I'm actually going to help you guys out in closing this thing out because I'm going to help them save some money and get a lower rate. Here's the good news, is that you're going to ensure that they fund because they're getting a lower payment, right? I'm going to ensure that it flies through because I work in the same exact office that the underwriter on this file works in. As a matter of fact, I sit right next to them. I'm going to make sure my team, so you position yourself as authority. There's a thing called authority bias, where you're using the rep of NAF as if it were you, right? So we're doing billions per month. We know what we're doing, right? But they see you like you're doing billions per month, and then say my team will ensure that everything goes across very smoothly. We're going to ensure that this closes on time for you. Here's my cell. Here's my direct. You can hit me up by text. I'm going to be following up with you every other day to make sure that we're all on the same page, right? And so whether it happens every other day or whatnot, he just wants to hear it right up front. He just wants to hear it right then and there that you know what you're doing. Because what happens is if he hears from the borrower, like, oh yeah, I talked to some guy from NAF or New American Funding. If that realtor doesn't know New American Funding, or they got a bad experience with New American Funding, they're going to immediately sway, oh, what are you doing? Right? They're worried that the deal's going to fall out. That's the whole problem.
Worried about their money.
They're worried about their money, right? Because they got more writing on that than we do.
I had a call the other day from a realtor from a listing agent that called me, just wanted to know who we were.
Right.
Because he was all, well, I was really concerned about taking an offer from somebody that I had no idea who the lender is. So he just called to know that we were a legitimate company. So
Yeah.
I thought that was great. I told him, hey, I appreciate you calling me.
And I think that's
I
why
really
it's also
appreciate it.
important to start collecting your testimonials off to your own brand page. It's your property, and they're talking about you. They're not necessarily talking about NAF. And so with your clients and with the realtor relationships, you can actually send them these links and say, hey, just thought about you. I worked with another realtor in your area, or I worked with another realtor helping within that county or that state. Here's a list of their testimonial, and that's the realtor saying, yeah, this guy's spot on. His team was solid. Process went through super smooth, right? Because you got the entire backing of NAF right now. Purchase division is the baby of the bunch, and there's so much resources. Like, we're kind of left in the wind and shit. We're like that redhead stepchild. You know what I mean? We just got to fend for ourselves. And that's a good thing, though. Because why? Is because you know that NAF is putting everything it has behind your division to make sure it goes through smooth as fuck, to make sure everything goes flawless, because it's all about building up reputation. So leverage that, right? And but you have to be able to position and brand yourself, because that post you put on Facebook is going to be repurposed over and over again. It's not just going to be used once. And that's the upside of the social media, right? Like, I could take a post that I did from 2 years ago and repurpose it for today. And I could do it over and over and over again. So it has a lot of equity in it.